It's a sad thing, and you mentioned conspiracy theorists. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've been called that when I've brought up things that happened, like things that are historical truths. And I'll talk about historical event, and it's just I'll make some comparisons. I'll draw some parallels between something that happened in the 1950s to now. And you're such a conspiracy theorist. I even had a close friend say that to me, and I found it so bizarre. It's like, no, this is a thing.
No.
This is a thing that happened. Oh, yeah, I've had plenty of that. Like, oh, so you're not getting the shot? Oh, well, you're anti-vax. Like, no, actually, I think vaccines have their place, but don't you think it's strange that this took a year to be produced and you're just going to throw? I mean, I just think it's strange. I like to ask questions. I'm curious. I didn't think that was illegal.
I mean, look, there's been some good objections by like antibody dependent enhancement and other topics that if a prime minister or a scientist would sit down in front of the people and answer them, you know, this is what I've been calling. I wrote for City AM and they published it. You know, why don't we have clear, you know, publications on these objections? You know, straight answers. We need straight answers. People are getting angry. You know, I'm getting angry. Lots of people getting angry. It would eliminate a whole bunch of citizenry anger if we just had more straight answers, you know, because this is starting to boil. This is people are on edge, man.
Well, it made me, you know, I was talking to someone last week, and I just was curious, like, okay, is the point to cause revolt? Because this is how you do it, where you present one angle and then you just completely shut down the other side, where you won't even acknowledge their position or even give them a platform to speak from. Well, that antagonizes and invites revolt.
Yeah.
So it's so in your face and it's so insulting, where you can bring up just some obvious things. Like, for instance, I was curious, hey, you know, why is it we're not talking about nutrition, diet, and the immune system? Why is it that's for whatever reason we're just not even really going to discuss that?
Absolutely.
You know. And a large majority of people just like, oh, you're anti-vax, you're anti-science, you're like, no, I'm literally talking about actual science. Like that's science, where we share ideas, we go back and forth, you know, we come to a grand conclusion. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
I saw an American advert where they're talking about, is your friend on Facebook who builds doll houses, is she a doctor? You know, trust the doctors, they know more than you. And that argument doesn't make any sense at all, because anybody can basically read anything that's world class. You know, maybe take them a bit longer to understand, but you can go on the internet and you can find out information for yourself, peer reviews. So this whole thing about we know better and you trust us because of our qualifications is just total Bravo Sierra, you know. What really, really worries me though is that if there is a grand conspiracy New World Order, which I'm not saying 100% there is, but it's starting to look and smell like it, you know, more and more, then maybe a revolt is planned, maybe the division is planned, maybe this system has been designed that it can only produce a great division and revolt in the people, and then maybe that is the game plan. So what is scary is that we're stuck between two bad options: this continual infringement of our rights, or this revolt, which will then cause more infringement of our rights. That's kind of scary thought, you know, that both paths we'll have to choose one of them, and both of them are not good. What is the fix for this?
Well, and there's no easy answer, but I'm quick to tell people that this, you know, violence is not the answer. It's the easy approach. I mean, heck, even toddlers, if they don't get what they want, they'll hit mommy in the leg or they'll throw something, because that's easy, that type of aggression, rather than sitting down and being methodical and actually thinking through the issues and looking at core issues, which is why, you know, we had our insurrection on January the 6th at the Capitol. And when I was on Twitter, before I was kicked off of Twitter, I had a lot of friends like, hey, are you going to go and stop the steal? And they were shouting on all those wonderful slogans. And I said, don't. And I encourage so many people, do not go to this thing. Like, I guarantee you it's going to be chaotic and someone's probably going to die. Just don't do it. And I tuned out. And then I was just plugging away, and someone texted me like, "Hey, are you seeing this?" And then I was seeing the video feeds of people just fighting and throwing things, and it's like I knew it. I knew it. Someone was going to throw a rock at a cop or fight someone, and then it's just going to turn to crap. And it works great for our Congress here in this country, because now there you go. You've got a problem. Manage the reaction through the media, and here's the solution: new legislation that infringes on more rights and liberties and that sort of thing.
I think everybody who's concerned or not concerned should go to the History Channel. I'm not being paid for this, by the way, and watch as much documentaries on Hitler and his henchmen as possible, because I spent hundreds of hours studying that stuff in London. I had a sort of strange obsession about it. I don't know if it was very healthy at the time, but it's been very healthy and really helped me to sort of see patterns that really scare me a lot, especially stuff about Goebbels, read propaganda, that really nasty man that was, but very, very, very well executed what they did. It was
well, Hitler had it down to an exact science. Him and his I'll call them his marketing staff, they had it down to exact science, to the way his speeches were crafted, the times during the day which he gave his speeches. He had a specific window of time in the evening that he would shoot for, the push to get radios in everyone's home, and of course now we've got 5G and laptops and everything in, so everyone has access to that information. So it's incredibly sad. I mean, but there's truly nothing new under the sun. Like, if you just look at the events and you look at the things that happened, in the 1930s and 1950s, and even if you go back to World War I and you look at each one, there's always a major event. Then there's some sort of push for propaganda, and then that propaganda permeates down to individual citizens, and then it just runs from there. It's the patterns are there.
So if you look at the timelines, Hitler had about 20 years where he built up to absolute ruler. But if you look at our timelines, we have about a year since this pandemic started. But going into sort of conspiracy mode now, we don't know how long this thing was planned. I should have a P or a C for saying this is conspiracy time, but we don't know how long people have been preparing for this. You could sort of say, well, Bill Gates talking about reducing the population by 15%. That was a few years ago. We've got the Georgia Guidestones that were set up saying keep the world population under 500 million. So, in a sense, you could argue that, it's only been a year, but it's not been that. It's been actually been longer. This is just the execution of it. Like, for example, Hitler's execution of the Kristallnacht, taking out his oppositions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredibly sad, and it's just the lack of curiosity. When you present this information, you ask these questions, and you just I tell people all the time, I'm not telling you what to do. I give some recommendations, and I try to encourage people just to ask questions. Do your own research, ask questions, and listen. But we've been so, in this country, we've been so lazy and incurious for decades. We're talking, 60, 70, 80 years of just continuous, unchallenging compliance to just whatever rolls out, and we just accept it, to the point now where the system has a lot of built-in controls, where you'll have people, attacking the individuals that do ask those questions. It's a crazy thing. It's a almost predictable thing, but still somewhat surprising, just the scale